All right, who wants to hear about high-octane adventures and the latest and greatest on the motor scene? It's time to rev it up with John and Jess.
All right, Jess, where are we at today?
We are at World of Wheels in Milwaukee.
Sponsored by O'Reilly's.
Yes,
Okay. Did we get this all right so far?
we did.
Okay, because I screwed up the last
You
time.
did.
Okay. So we are here talking with our friends, and I'll read it out. Okay. From the 37th Annual Automotion Classic Car Show in Wisconsin Dells. And we have, who's with? Introduce him.
Here we have Dennis Groder, the president of the Dells Area Cruisers, and over here we have Ron Nelson, the treasurer. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here. Yep.
So I'm really happy to have these guys over because you were just getting here. We were doing something over. He was, Ron came over and talked to me, and I've talked to him before. We've had some spots up at the show, and everybody knows Automotion
Yes.
is now, it started at Noah's Ark, right?
It actually started 37 years ago in the park.
In the park?
In Wisconsin Dells.
Okay.
And I forget the name of the park.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
don't remember
Bowman
either.
Park or
Yeah.
something like that?
Okay.
Is where it actually started.
Okay.
And then it moved from there to Tommy Bartlett's parking lot for, I think, 1 year.
Really?
And then it was at Noah's Ark. And we had a really good relationship with Noah's Ark.
Okay.
They were real good to work with and everything, but we just kind of, with their remodeling and upgrading, more of the parking lot was being used up, and so we moved over across the street to Mount Olympus, and
Okay.
it's been a kind of a learning experience over there, but with anything, you have growing pains. So
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
it's been a good association over there, other than, we still got bugs to work out as far as we can get people in early in the morning, but then as the traffic picks up on the boulevard, it gets to be more of a challenge getting people in and out. But we're working on it. We're aware of the shortfalls, and we aim to cure the problem.
Well, I think with you guys, and now Jess, you've been to Automotion before, right?
Yes, when it was at, a couple times, but when it was at Noah's Ark, I was there as a attendee.
Attendee.
Yeah.
No, we've been there. I've been going there for a long time and taking cars up there. And when it was at Noah's Ark or Tommy Bartlett's over there, we did that before that. And a lot of people, of course, every year when the show goes on, you see the social media of everybody goes on, and a lot of people don't like change. I think you and I were talking about that before.
I didn't.
Of the show. Well, I was talking about Ron.
I know.
So one of the biggest things of Automotion is that a lot of people didn't like the way it changed because back then it was an 89 and older show, correct? It still
Right.
is,
It
right?
still is.
It still is. So, but back in the day, it was always classic cars, and you would get done, and there was a parade after the show, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
And nowadays, let's just face it, a lot of the younger crowd getting involved, a lot of the newer stuff comes up with the diesel trucks and the tuner cars. A lot of the, I don't want to say the bashing or whatever. Social media is good or bad no matter what you do. But everybody's like, oh, you can't go anywhere because there's so many people. I think what they should really realize is that you guys have made, and your whole group has made such a great show after 37 years. You're getting everybody from all over the country to come to that. And it's basically the whole town is a nonstop traffic jam.
Yes.
Right.
And I think it's great. And I can't even believe when I see this thing, well, I don't want to go because of the traffic. I thought, it's like the dumbest post I've ever seen. What are you going for then? It's a car show and cruise, right?
And there's easy ways to get in and out of the parking lot, or at least get into the parking lot.
Yeah.
Without fighting all the traffic out on the strip.
Right.
I mean, it's just you need to know how to get there. That's all. And we try to communicate that to the people, especially the Milwaukee car clubs that come up.
Yeah.
The Alley Cats or the Alley Rats. I'm sorry, they come up, bring a number of cars every year.
Yeah.
So we try to tell them the easy way to get to the show.
Well, and I think too, when you have car clubs like the Alley Rats or Losers or any of those guys that come up from all over the place, if you're going to go there, we see the changes that are going on, and I think it's great because we talk every year. Jess and I are always involved with something about getting the kids involved, and I think it's great that you've got that. I mean, the Dells is a historic town, anyways, so it's so great with the small town shops everywhere, and it goes into, the Dells connects to downtown.
Lake Delton.
Lake Delton. So when you go through there, and now it goes all over the place. I mean, the cruisers are all over the place, and there's been a lot of little, spin-off shows all over the place, right? That
Right,
kind of helped it go
right.
through, because you and I we've been to Edge of Dells a couple times over there, and I think that's I forgot whose name who owns that one out there, but he does a nice little show out there, and it kind of diverts some of the stuff out there.
Correct.
And people go cruising. I think it's a really good thing out there, and I just love supporting the show, what you guys are doing, and everything that's going on with, whether it's big trucks or tuners or classic cars. Everybody needs to be there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, have the Dells area cruisers always been involved since it started, or when did you guys come on board?
I'm not sure when our car club came on, but we haven't always been. There's been different car clubs that have
Helped.
crewed the show in the beginning.
Sure.
But we've been, I don't know, Ron, how many years we've had it.
I should know. I researched it a couple of years ago, but it escapes me right now. But,
Sure.
But we've probably been doing it for getting on close to 20 years out of
20 years.
37.
And how long has the Dells area cruisers been around?
Again, something I should probably know.
He doesn't have his notes out. Sorry.
I've been with the club since 17,
Okay.
2017.
17. Okay.
And Dennis come on board maybe
19 or 20, something like
Yeah.
that. It's only been a couple of years
Yeah.
that we've belonged.
Okay.
So we're basically newbies,
Okay.
and there's the old guard that watches over everything from afar.
Yeah.
And,
Of course.
and stuff. But it's a real good club.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an aged club. We don't have a lot of the young members,
Right.
but I think that's kind of normal where the youngsters aren't really into clubs and organized things.
Yeah, we noticed that a lot too. They don't. It's not. They just like the quick show up and go to the car meets, and they just like to all gather quick and then scatter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for us old guard, we look at it and you always have this conversation comes up about what's going to happen to the car hobby if the young kids aren't involved. Well, if you don't think the kids are enthused about cars,
Yeah.
you got to come to Automotion weekend and stand on the parkway and watch the kids. It's bumper to bumper, and the kids are 3-4 deep on the curb watching the stuff going on the street. And if anything, I think some of us old folk are kind of maybe have our nose a little bent out of shape because them young kids come in and took over our playground.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they've
yeah.
got us outnumbered. And they took over our playground. We want to go out and cruise the avenue, but
Yeah.
they're using
Yeah,
it.
there.
Well, and I think over the years we've seen a couple things break off where they wanted to have maybe a separate weekend for the tuners and the diesel kids, and then have the classics. I think I saw that one year happen, right? Because there was so much of it going on.
And the Dells festivals have talked to them about doing that,
Yeah.
spread it out, except our show used to be the big kickoff for the Dells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before Memorial Day weekend.
Always.
They were getting cars in there to fill the hotel rooms and everything. And they were actually filling more hotel rooms during Automotion than they are on some of the holiday weekends.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But now the Dells is open 12 months out of the year with their water parks. It's
Yes.
not a grand opening of the Dells season anymore.
And I think you said it best. I think you said it best that if people don't think these kids are involved, they're really wrong. Because
Right.
okay, when we were younger, like Jess and I were just talking, obviously we're 80s kids. Now, everybody had a cruising moment in their life. You guys did it in the 50s and 60s. I mean, my dad did it. And you guys cruised everywhere. You guys cruised up there. My parents did it down here on 27th Street, Wisconsin Avenue, everywhere like that. We are from out there, so we did Highway 100 over here. We probably did Appleton Avenue, all that stuff. And people looked like at us because we were riffraff. Now, we couldn't afford the Clue 57 Chevys or like that were, at that time, 50 grand. But I could go buy $800 Chevelle. And they were looking down at me for driving a Chevelle at the time, or a crappy Cutlass, a 78 Cutlass or something, whatever it was. Now we're the other way around, where these kids can't afford a $50,000 Camaro or a $100,000 57 Chevy, but they can go get Toyota Camrys. What were we talking about this morning? Dodge Neon?
Dodge Neon.
Dodge
Yeah,
Neon.
yeah. Isn't that something?
Austin, our IT guy right there, he's got a Subaru, right? Yep, he's got a Subaru, and they're lowering them down to his stuff. I don't care who you are or what you're driving, what kind of car. There's a lot of work that goes in some of those tuner cars. And I mean, you look underneath the hood, I could tell you nothing. It looks like a box with a bunch of wires. You know, it looks like an electrical box to me.
The kind that you keep in your closet. You know, you're not quite sure what to do with it,
Yeah.
just in case you need a cord.
And yeah, and you have to give it to these kids because they plug in a laptop and they can tune these cars like that, and it's amazing. And you might look at them like we were looked at when we were wrenching on cars by our elders and who was going on. So I really think, yes, are they organized? No, but were we organized back then? No. No.
Right.
So, and I mean, yes, they're having a lot of fun, and you have to admit, I don't know where they all come from, but they come in droves more than we did. It seems like, and when you go to Automotion, it's crazy.
Yeah.
There's just a lot more people now than there were when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s, we'd go up to Madison, cruise the square for hours.
Yeah.
Just drive around at Square and burn all our gas and race up and down East Washington.
Yeah.
But now there's so many people and so many cars, and it's built up. I mean, you just can't do that anymore.
Yeah, and a safety thing, and want to go through it. It's, I think you guys, the club and the Dells Cruisers, you get a good response from all the police departments and everybody else that kind of helps out for that weekend, then, right?
Oh, absolutely. The Dells spends a lot of money getting extra police force in there to help protect everybody and keep it down to a slow roar.
A low roar.
Yeah.
A low roar, yeah, sure.
Try to.
And I mean, but I mean, as far as like violence or anything like damage and stuff, there's never really any of that. It's just the cruising aspect of it, right? In the gatherings, I really never heard anything bad about Automotion at all.
There's been a few instances, just like with anything, when people have a little too much to drink in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that happens in any event at any age.
Yeah, and that's true. And now I was looking over here now because when we did when we were at the Tommy Bartlett or Noah's Ark, there was a swap area over there. And I think the last few years we were going to both. We were going to Automotion and we were going to Edge of Dells because we couldn't get a hotel room in town.
Yeah.
So we went all the way out to Edge of Dells and got a cabin out there. And then we cruised in town. And let's face it, if you get into town, you might not make it back into town until 10 hours later because of how didn't you do that?
Yeah.
2 years ago when we went out there? And Austin and I went and covered another show in another state, and we came back, we couldn't believe how much it was. But you've got a lot of great guests this year. I mean, you've got Cool Hand Customs that are coming in, and they just got back from SEMA. They did SEMA and they did some other shows. They do make some really great rides out there. And they're doing the vintage camper.
I
show.
do love me some vintage.
She loves it. Yeah, they do some great stuff. And now Chassis Dyno is coming in, and is that done by Cool Hand? When you guys told me that Cool Hand's bringing that too?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They don't have it. They're contracting with. Anyway,
Are these more of your notes you didn't write down?
Yes.
I should know this. It's just the spotlights. Or a shirt, one
No
of the
pressure at all.
But-
No pressure at all.
Yeah. Well, they looked up. They called us after we contracted with them or asked them to come and be an invited guest.
Yeah.
And then they contacted us back and says, "Hey, can we bring a chassis dyno?"
Oh, you bet.
And you go,
You're like,
well,
yes.
Why not?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we had at Automotion Classic Car Show, we had a dyno a few years back at Noah's Ark. But with the way it was laid out, it was just so hard to get the vehicles out of their parking place and get them over
Get 'em
to
on the
where
dyno,
the dyno
of course,
was. And but at Mount Olympus, that parking lot is huge.
That's a big parking lot,
We've
yeah.
got room to get that so that it's not right up amongst where the participants are going to be parking and want to, some people don't like all that noise.
Yeah.
Well, we're able to put that chassis dyno then a little bit away from where everybody is parked and still be able to get vehicles over there easily and stuff. So it's going to be pretty exciting having a chassis dyno there.
Yeah. Now, do you think with the pre-89 and older, do you think how is the response with everybody as far as that goes with all the different genres of cars getting together? Because obviously 89 and older, you're not getting a lot of the younger kids or the obviously the biggest thing is the big diesel trucks that are everywhere, and the rolling coal boys and all that other stuff like that. Is there any response? Though you said before a couple of those guys wanted to get in the show and do stuff. You should open the show to everybody, right?
We've had that discussion the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And at some point it's going to happen.
Yeah, I
the
think
show
so.
will get opened up. It's inevitable.
Maybe
It's-
split the lots or something, or
yeah.
whatever you can do.
And you look at it, it's been 89 and older for a lot of years.
Yeah.
So you go back to when they first established that, and there wasn't such a big spread of
Yeah, it's a little different now.
years that there
There's
is.
30-something years now.
Yeah. And some participants really like that, the classic car part
sure.
of it.
Yeah.
You know, and there's been discussion about, well, it's a big lot. Should we let the imports in and let them have one half of the lot and the classics on the other side?
Yeah.
You know, just open it up, blend them all together, all the different ways. But and I really think it's going to happen at some point. It's just that the rank and file isn't quite ready for it right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it eventually works out, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Now, this show is taking place on May 20th and 21st. You said that there were some new things this year that you guys were adding. Can you enlighten us on what those
Right.
things are?
We always had registration start on Saturday morning. This year we're going to do it Friday afternoon. Participants get a Dell's discount card. And one of the things we did when we did a survey of our people that come to the show, participants, they wanted that discount card earlier so they
Sure.
could use it Friday night with their families. So now we're going to have registration Friday afternoon. We're also going to have a cruise about 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. And I'll go out the back way out of the parking lot and cruise the back roads, not in town, but cruise through the Baraboo Hills and that. And we're also going to have a separate drawing for those people that are there. I mean, we give away over $3,000 worth of door prizes over
Yeah.
the weekend. We also have hourly drawing, or an hour drawing every 2 hours for cash.
Ooh.
And then Sunday afternoon we award trophies to whoever invited guests are, get to pick a car and they get a trophy.
Okay.
That's very
So
cool.
That is very cool.
yeah, but you brought up about the younger people not being able to afford the classics.
Yeah.
When we drive our classics out like Saturday afternoon after the show, and the tuners and the big trucks are still out there, you get a lot of thumbs up. You get a lot of people,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of kids saying, "Hey, nice car."
Yeah.
So I mean, they do appreciate it. It goes back to they can't afford something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, most of us couldn't afford that until
Right.
our kids are gone or whatever, and finally get into it. So we're probably trying to relive a little bit of our youth.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I think, it's not really the can't beat 'em, join 'em kind of thing, but maybe since it's the point, and I think we did that when I think that's how we had such a good response with our Motor Mania show, and I think I told you we want to bring everybody together with that.
Right.
So I think it's almost at the point where the younger generation has given us respect for years for what we've created and done, along how we did it with you guys, my father, and everybody else who had the classics, had the great shops, doing whatever. Now these kids are doing it on their own, and maybe they're just looking for respect back from us to bring them back into the show and maybe give them their spot of the show. Maybe that would change a lot of things around and do that, because every time you get on there, and like I said, I always watch. I think right when you made the first post on social media, because we follow your page, of course, and you get on there, and then of course you always get the keyboard cowboys, which I always call them.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to register, I'm not going to do whatever, which is, I'm sorry, but it's a bunch of bullshit. Because guess what? They're at Automotion every year, and they just want to do it the event. I'm not going to go because I can't go anywhere, and there's this guy's doing this guy's doing cool. Then sit in a hotel room and drink your beer and do your cool, and don't go support the show.
Right.
But you're going to be there. We know you're going to be there. So when it goes through and does that, which is great. But no, I think what you guys are doing is great, and I'm glad it's still going on after all these years.
Speaking of great things, if I could, you guys were talking about the charities that the club donates to and raises money for, as well as a scholarship. Can you guys tell us about that?
Yeah, last year we gave money to 20 different local charities.
Oh, wow.
Food pantries, Shop with a Cop, Salvation Army, things like that. It all stays in the Dells area and the areas in which our club members come from.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have a club member from Lodi or from Portage or something, we make sure to try to give something back to that community. We also give a small scholarship to a high school graduate who's going to continue in the automotive field.
Wow.
That's great.
What was it?
That's really great.
3 years ago, we gave it to a young girl who does drag racing, and she's going into automotive engineering when she
Nice.
graduated. So
We do love community givebacks.
We love that. We get, and a couple of months back where we were down in, well, I suppose that was November? We went down to Chicago to the McCacken show, the Muscle Car Nationals. I don't know if you ever heard of that one. It's one of the biggest invite shows. So we got down there. Bob Asher invited us down to do that show. And we actually ran into a girl that we actually sold that Firebird
Yes.
to. And she...
Olivia.
yeah. We all have a classic car shop that we buy and sell classics and do stuff out of. And we sold her a class. It was 80. Man, I think it was 89, 88 or 89 Firebird, but it had a big block Chevy in it. And I thought it was really neat. To me, it really wasn't that thing because again, I didn't think it was that old to be a classic. She was so intrigued with that car, she took it back and she was going to. I don't know if it was Wyotech. I'm not sure where she went to, but she had the story and she's a total car girl. And we were Jess and I were walking through the show, and she saw us, and she stopped us immediately, because now she follows us on Facebook and our radio show. She had to stop us, show us every picture. She took that car completely apart, and redid it all herself, and it was just so neat.
She's winning awards now too.
Yeah, she's winning awards. She's doing a lot of great stuff. Yeah, it's so getting these kids involved is just. I mean, it's great. It's great for all of us all around.
if you talk to the young guy down here, the 14-year-old kid with the winged sprint car, he's been racing go-karts since he's been 4 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now they've got their own sprint car, and he's running as many shows in the Wisconsin area that he can. That's really cool for a 14-year-old kid.
Absolutely.
For a 14-year-old kid, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's great, and that's why we back up. We do a lot of sponsorships. I mean, we have Bennett here that we sponsor with the side by side. We're sponsoring him for the second year in a row, and we have Scotty Kowalski with the Build Moto program from Eisenhower School over there that he does all the stuff with the flat track races. So we love getting the kids involved all the time. Yeah, it's really great.
And tell us about the awards presentation on Sundays. Like,
Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, just before the show closes down, each of our invited guests have an opportunity to go through the show and pick out a car. And at the end of the show, they come up and they award the car owner with a trophy that we supply them.
so it's like most popular vote, is it?
No, it could be whatever. Say if you come up as our invited guest and you like this 57 Ford Fairlane that just happens to be
Yeah.
out there, they get the trophy with
Oh,
your
okay.
name on it.
I got it. I got
That's
it now.
really
So it's not something, it's not a judge show or anything like that. It's might be because you like the color of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Or my dad had one of those, whatever. But
Okay.
yeah, they can choose pretty much any car out in the show. We've had also the owner of Mount Olympus gives a cash prize to who's ever there that he likes the best, whatever car he happens to like, which he can do.
I can
But,
get on board with that.
yeah.
I could see that for sure.
That's Nick, right?
Yeah.
Nick Ogaris? Yeah. Yeah, he's a good guy. I met him a couple times. Yeah. Yeah, really good guy. And yeah, he's definitely wanted to take over that, so it's a good thing he's doing.
He's a big help to us. He makes all of our signage and everything else. And last year we started putting the car of the show on the signs. And they made the signs so we can peel that car off and put this year's car on.
Oh, very
So
cool.
it ties everything together. We've got the show car, the posters, the T-shirts, all have the same car on it. So it ties
That's
it all
very neat.
together.
That's very neat. So, and again, like you were just saying before about sponsors and whoever gets on board, it's everybody can have the idea, but you have a team, just like we do. It takes a team and a community to build it all
It
together.
does, yep.
Yeah.
We start our meetings right after the first of the year
Okay.
to work up to Automotion, and also our club does a lot more than just Automotion.
Yeah, I was going to get into
You guys
that
are
too.
a big
Yeah.
Okay.
club, yeah. Because I can only imagine Automotion takes quite a bit of effort on everybody's part. And he was telling me previous that it is a requirement for everybody that's a member of the club that
Okay.
they have to help out with Automotion.
Oh, that's a good.
It's a good rule.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good rule. We should have that rule.
It's a one-time dues.
Yeah.
You pay a dues when you join,
Okay.
and then in order to stay a member in good standing, you have to work the Automotion Classic Car Show.
And you said
Okay.
you had about 50-ish
About
members?
50-ish members, yeah.
Okay.
Very cool.
Both singles and couples.
That's very cool. That's very neat. Is there any now since you've been around for so long doing this stuff? Do you see any second and third generations helping out with Automotion? Kids and
We've got a couple, I guess, third-generation ones.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
Now, with you two being car guys yourselves, or any of the other family members involved?
I've got a grandson that helped last 3 shows.
Okay.
And but now he's of that age, and he's trying to make his own way, and he's going to school to be a police officer. So
Okay.
whether he'll stay active, it's hard to say at this point. But
Okay.
and it all has to do with starting out young. You get when a youngster comes by and he's making eyes at your car.
Yeah.
It's great to be able to open the door and let them sit in it and play with it. And it creates memories that sticks with the kids forever.
Yeah.
And that's how you can grow the interest in the sport and stuff, is by not neglecting the little kids and bringing
Keeping them involved.
being involved. And like Dennis mentioned, this young lad down here with a sprint car, his dad says that kid, 14 years old, can take the car all apart himself, put it back
That's
together.
awesome.
That's just really great.
The kid isn't being groomed to be just a driver.
No.
He's a total package.
Yeah.
He can work on the car. He knows how to take it apart, put it together.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My hat's off to people that can do that,
Yeah.
And it's patience, too.
And it's like
Patience
any one of the trades right now, there's any kid with some ambition.
Yep.
He can go and be a plumber, electrician, an auto mechanic, and he don't have to spend a lot of money on schooling.
No.
You get into any one of the trades, and these trades will help you and get you certified, so that you can be a trained technician in whatever field. And you come out of school and you've got very little debt load. And
It's a win-win.
and it's a bright future for kids today if they've got a passion for, like I say, not just auto mechanics, but to be an electrician, a plumber, or whatever.
Tradesman,
And it's a great opportunity for them, and so the future's bright, but it just don't seem like there's that many kids that want to get into the fields right now, the trades.
Right. And I think over the years there was I was know what that was. There was a firecracker.
That's me.
I was like, what was that? Did you hear that? I heard it. I'm like, what was that? Jess
I'm
is
getting a little verklempt, sorry.
yeah, somebody come over and taser Jess and get out of here. So, yeah.
That's a little aggressive.
It's getting late when you're excited a little bit. But yeah, going back with the trades, I think before, as people always kind of look down at the mechanic in town, going back to like Dukes of Hazzard and Cooter and all that stuff, he's the greasy mechanic in town. That's pretty well changed.
Yeah.
I mean, you got mechanics these days, let's face it, making as much as some lawyers and doctors are, being these techs, and it's amazing what they have. I mean, they got toolboxes worth $100,000. Because it's not like when we were younger, everything was carbureted and we could take apart everything with the same amount of tools from Sears. These kids are going to school, and these guys now are actually getting reevaluated every year when a new car comes out. And the same thing with, like you said, any of the trades, not just automotive, but even the construction field, with all the technicians for the tractors and John Deere's and all that stuff, and all the tradesmen. I think it's a real big difference now in what tradesmen have and what they can offer. And these kids don't need an office job to make that kind of money. And the debt isn't there.
Right.
Also, I think they need to know that.
Yes.
And so many of them also get started, and after they work for a company for a while, find out, I'm going to start my own plumbing company or electrician or whatever, and start their own companies and be their own boss.
Yeah.
Sure. It's a way to go.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing to say about that. I mean, it's really good that you guys are getting involved, and I love that scholarship thing. That's great. I don't think a lot of people realize all that those cruisers do.
Yeah, I don't think so either. We try to let people know where their money's going, that we're not lining our pockets and buying, the club buying the president a car or something.
Right.
So yeah, we try to make sure everybody knows where the money goes.
So just because you two just bought 2 brand new 2023 Camaros, it's no big deal?
No, we were out Gateway Classics earlier, and we're down there. I'm afraid neither of us have any more room to put cars.
one of the things that you hear from some of the people that have been to Automotion in the past and they've drifted away, you talk to them about, hey, maybe it's time you come back, try the show
Yeah.
again, and you get somewhat of a bad rap once in a while, and they'll say, well, I'm not going to come back to the show because Wisconsin Dells has enough money, that, and some of them look at it as a lot of them know that the Visitors Bureau has ownership of the show.
Yeah.
And so you'll hear some of them say, well, they've got enough money. I don't need to go to the show and make them
People
more
really
money.
say that?
And
Yeah.
But
So do people not go to Vegas? I mean,
very
come on.
few of them realize
Go to Ho Chunk.
the deal that we have with them. We're the Dells Area Cruisers are the more or less contracted for the manpower to put the show on.
Yeah.
And like Dennis had mentioned, we're invited to planning meetings to help develop each show each year.
Yeah.
But the Dells Visitors Bureau owns the show. But they pay all the insurance. They arrange for where the show is going to be. They do all the pre-registration, all the legwork.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the Visitors Bureau writes the Dells Area Cruisers a check for all the proceeds that come in. We get 100% of the gate. We get 100% of the people that rented swap spaces, car corral. We get 100% of that money gets given to the club, and then we disperse it out to the local charities.
That's great.
And
That's awesome.
So that stigmatism that, the community don't need us to come and they've got enough money up there.
Yeah.
They're not profiting by it. Actually, they have never come out and said how much money it costs them to put the show on.
Well, I can just imagine. We do
it's-
some big events. We know the bills.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, and
so we're blessed that way, and the whole community is because of all the
Absolutely.
different charities.
Yeah,
that-
what you guys give back.
Yeah.
well, we always go through, and obviously, Jess and I talk about it all the time. If you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. So we tell everybody, even on our radio show, we always tell everybody, because we get some people that used to help us out. You guys are doing 37 years. I can't wait till we got that long. This is only our 4th year, and we got to the top really quick, really fast, which is great. But you get haters right away. You get haters on how did they do that? How did he start it? And now he's got all these other people. And then we see the posts on social media. I don't respond to any of it. I just stay silent. I don't even respond to it. But what I tell people is that, because one of our great sponsors, Air Technologies, he always tells us, and Jess says the same thing, you can find us on Facebook. You can email me. You can do whatever you want. Follow me. Please call it. No matter how many times you make complaints online, whether it's our show, Automotion, all that stuff, the more comments they make and tag it, it still takes your show and keeps it there, because people are searching for it.
Correct.
Whether it's hate social media or good, it still puts it to the top. So keep going.
Yeah.
For all we care. That's what we tell. It doesn't matter. I don't think after 37 years it's really going to stop by a couple people not going here and there. Because for one classic that probably stopped here and there with somebody not going, you probably had 200 show up. So
Right.
The train's just going to keep rolling.
yeah,
Yep.
I definitely think so. No, I think no, my hat's off to everybody that's still putting it on, and we of course we love to be part of it. So
Yeah, looking forward to it.
yeah, it's a great show. And so how many? The only question we didn't ask: how many are in the club?
About 50.
50s.
Yeah.
50. Oh, you did get that. Okay, I missed that one. Okay.
And where could they find you for more information or to register?
We have a Facebook page. We have a web page as well. And obviously, at car shows like this, we've always got applications with us for members joining the club.
Okay.
And we're a pretty active club, too, because
I like it. They're
with
shutting the lights off, we're
Automotion
still
being
talking.
early in the year,
Mood lighting.
Yeah, a little
once
mood lighting.
Automotion is over,
How you doing?
we spend the rest of the summer in that for cruising. We set up cruises. We go to a lot of different car shows. We set up a cruise. A bunch of us go back to the 50s. We go
Yeah.
down to cruising the coast in Mississippi. We've set up cruises to go over to the Mississippi River and go on a riverboat dinner cruise and things like that. So we're a pretty active club.
Wow,
sounds
yeah,
like
it
just
sounds like a lot.
automotion.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, you go through that stuff, and it sounds like we're still here on Friday night, and it's we're about 10 after 9.
It's about that time.
So they're going slow, and I've got the little thing here, so the little flyer. So it's $10 in advance or 20 at the gate, right?
Correct.
Okay. And for more information or register to vote online at wisdells.com/am. Huh?
Correct. You said that correctly.
I did. I didn't screw it before.
You win a Cupid doll.
Oh, do I really? You're dressing up as a Cupid doll later? This is awesome. So anyways, and again, if for those of you who's never been to Automotion, it is at Mount Olympus Water and Theme Park on 1881 Wisconsin Dells Parkway. And if you don't know where that is, if you've ever been to Wisconsin Dells, it's right next to the big Trojan
miss
horse.
it.
You can't
Right,
miss it.
Right.
Everybody's got to
Yeah.
go at least once, so check them out.
Oh, check them out. And you got to go and, I guess we'll get out of here because I think they're shutting us down,
Thank
right?
you, fellas, for coming over and
Thanks,
visiting our table.
thanks for us
Okay.
coming out here. And
Thanks.
thanks for all the notes that you took.
Thanks for my
Couldn't have
pen.
done this without you. I thought I was good at not taking notes because Jessa, every time we do a show, she's like, here's your notes.
I
Even
do
when we
that.
started, I'm like, who's who? I'm like,
I
yeah.
wrote
So
it
she
down.
gave me the arrows. Look at this is great. So
Oh, wow.
see,
Right.
Wow.
it may look like I was really good at memory, but I really wasn't. The tricks of a magician. I'm like, Dennis, how you doing? And,
You are
Ron
welcome,
over
sir.
here. So, all right,
right.
guys. Well, thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us, and
Thank
we'll
you for
see you
having
tomorrow
us.
morning again, huh?
Sounds great. Yes.
All right. Let's go get done running.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, look at that. Look at Austin. You got a little clapping. Look at the crowd. Look at everybody clapping for us. Look at that.